talk about Arch Manning. So those of you that subscribe to the YouTube channel or follow the #1 ranked show on the social channels know that I had things to say last Thursday when the #1 overall recruit in the class of 2023, and quite frankly, the best recruit that Texas has landed since Vince Young, Arch Manning, decided to commit to Texas. This is at the end of a 3-tour visit where he went to Georgia, Alabama, and Texas, and we discussed each one of those landing spots, and I wrote about each one of those landing spots, and I was only bullish on the University of Texas. The University of Texas, I said, had all the things that an Arch Manning would want and need out of the 3 schools that he was still discussing. At that time, there was still some discussion about whether or not Florida might enter the mix, or even Ole Miss or Tennessee, because there are ties to both of those schools, more Ole Miss than Tennessee. But Arch went ahead and pulled the trigger on Texas. And since then, we have seen a handful, more than a handful, because that's 5, recruits decide that they too want to commit to Texas. This is something that I had said. Look, there were a lot of players that were looking at Arch Manning, waiting to see where he goes to decide where they would go. A lot of folks laughed at me for that. And since then, 6 days ago when we're recording this, a week ago when you're seeing this, 8 recruits have committed to the University of Texas, okay? So when Arch Manning committed to the University of Texas, the Longhorns were ranked number 19 in the country. They are now ranked number 3 in the country. Number 1 is Ohio State, who continues to recruit like an SEC school. Number 2 is Notre Dame. The Marcus Freeman effect is in full effect. And, of course, then there's Texas. So I'm really interested to see what this means for Texas, not just in 2023 when we know that Arch Manning is going to get to Texas, but also 2025 by the time that they decide to enter into the SEC. Maybe sooner. We'll see how that goes. But Arch would be a junior or a redshirt sophomore by the time they get to Texas, in a very good position to lead the Longhorns into their first season of SEC play. Other thing I thought was really interesting about all this is, what does it mean for 2022? Which we'll discuss here in quite a bit of detail. But the question that follows that one for me is, what does Arch's commitment mean for Quinn Ewers, Maalik Murphy, Hudson Card, 3 quarterbacks that are on campus right now vying for the starting job? And not to put too fine a point on this, but not a damn thing. It really doesn't matter. Like, one of the stupid opinions that I thought came out of Arch Manning's commitment, and what we all thought was, Quinn Ewers must be thinking about transferring now. For what? Why? For who? To where? What does he have to fear from Arch Manning? My goodness, guys. All right. So for those of you that don't know, Quinn Ewers was the commit that Arch Manning is today. They're 1-to-1. When Quinn Ewers committed to Ohio State, he was the #1 player in the class 2022 and had a perfect 1.00 rating from 247 Sports is composite. He since transferred from Ohio State after reclassifying to Texas, where I expect him to be the starting quarterback, and we'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. But my goodness, that dude is going into year 2 of playing college football. Okay? He plays well this year. He plays well next year. He'll go into the NFL draft well before Arch Manning even has a chance to compete with him. Why are we doing this? It's like people don't know how to do math all of a sudden. That just, I don't know what to do with that opinion about Quinn Ewers must be thinking about transferring again. Nah, man. Quinn Ewers is where many folks thought he should have begun his college football career to begin with, coming from South Lake Carroll, where the Dragons are good, where he was good. Wanted to go, I think his parents are Texas alumni as well. End up over there. But one of the reasons that he ended up Ohio State is because Texas, in which is a wild law, considering that Texas is a business state, decided that it did not want to allow high school football players to profit off of their name, image, and likeness. And Quinn Ewers was staring at a deal that comes to about $1 million if he signs his name and is playing college football. Ohio State was the place he committed. He said, can I reclassify and come there already? And they said, sure. Brought him in there. So now you got a dude that has never thrown a pass in college, who basically got to put $1 million in his pocket, only to transfer back home to Texas, where I expect him to be the starting quarterback at the University of Texas when they start the season. But we'll see how that goes. Now, what does it actually do for Quinn Ewers, Maalik Murphy, and Hudson Card? In the case of Maalik Murphy and Quinn Ewers more than Hudson Card, though, it allowed for you to raise the price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. Yesterday's price is not today's price. They're certified. They're certified because Arch Manning is coming behind them, which is to say that if Quinn Ewers or Maalik Murphy, for that matter, or even Hudson Card, can somehow engineer the kind of run that I think Texas is poised for, they're going to make a lot of money. Because unlike one Arch Manning, they are not against making money on their name, image, and likeness, all right? They're at Austin. They're at the flagship for the University of Texas systems. They are in line to make a ton of money if they want to. Think about what Sam Ehlinger meant to the University of Texas, and the best he could do for them was win the Rose Bowl with 4 losses. People love Sam Ehlinger. Do you know how much they would love Quinn Ewers or Maalik Murphy or Hudson Card if they were able to get them a Big 12 championship, let alone into the college football playoff and a national championship? Yes. Again, Fat Joe is a spirit animal for these dudes and their marketing agents. By the way, dudes got marketing agents before they got actual sports agents. Okay? This is kind of wild to me because I get some calls every now and again from marketing agents going, hey, can you tell me about XYZ player? Because I'm thinking about adding him to our stable for a guy that I think we could make some deals for. That's happening all over the sport. It's one of the reasons why I was confident last week when I told y'all there's going to be a run on commitments to Texas, and Texas is going to get to say which one of those guys they want to take based on what Arch has told them and how good they can be. A lot of people scoffed. I was right. I'm still going to be right later on in the week, as I understand this is still ongoing, as Arch is very much recruiting dudes that he wants to play with to the Longhorns. Okay, next question I had with this is, can Steve Sarkisian and A.J. Milwee, quarterback's coach, keep everybody? That would be Quinn Ewers, Maalik Murphy, Hudson Card. Probably not, but that doesn't make them any different than any other place in college football today. I mean, think about the moving and shaking we had at the quarterback position just this year. Ewers to Texas, Caleb Williams from Oklahoma to USC, Jackson Dart from USC to Ole Miss, Keaton Slovis from USC to Pittsburgh. Like, we can keep going down the line here, okay? As a matter of fact, 2017, 2018, 2019, the dudes that won the Heisman Trophy were transfer quarterbacks, okay? Think about that. We're talking about Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield, and, of course, Joe Burrow. Bryce Young won the 2021 one, right? Because that dude is actually elite at a place that, well, turns out elite guys. Like, it is an NFL factory down in Tuscaloosa. Also leads me back to this point that I want to make about the Heisman Trophy, which is that it usually does not go to the best player in college football. I know that I'm saying something there, but 2019, I'm looking at Chase Young going, okay, that's the best player in college football, but he's not going to win the Heisman because he plays edge. That's it. Like, Will Anderson might be the best player in college football in 2022, but he ain't going to win the Heisman Trophy because they don't like giving it to dudes that play defense exclusively. You got to be Charles Woodson. You have to be a legend. You have to be the kind of dude that ends up in not just the College Football Hall of Fame, but the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I know this because I saw him, or I should saw his likeness all over the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Because he's that dude. That's what you got to be if you're playing defense, all right? I mean, Chase would have had to have, what, 16 touchdowns and like 48 catches to go along with his 22 sacks or something? Like, it's ridiculous, man. So I don't think they're going to be able to keep all of these quarterbacks. Maalik Murphy seems like the guy to bet on to be out the door because it just ain't fitting for him. Like, Hudson's there. He outlasted Casey Thompson, who went to Nebraska, and he's going to be on his way out. And Malik's looking up at Quinn Ewers for the next couple of years unless something happens to Quinn Ewers. I don't think anything's going to happen to Quinn Ewers, and I never wish for anything to happen to players. But it feels like he could end up somewhere near the West Coast by the end of the day. And there's lots of places not named USC to go play football. I'd love to see what a Maalik Murphy could do at, say, Arizona or even Cal, for that matter, right? I can keep throwing names at you and throwing places where I think people fit. But, you know, I have a tendency to be right when I do that, so I'm going to pump the brakes on this because I'm hot right now. I'm hot. All right, so will Texas be SEC ready by 2025? Yes, they will. You know why they will be? Because Vanderbilt is SEC ready. Okay? Tennessee been SEC ready for 15 years. Nothing to show for it. all right? Mississippi State been SEC ready for 30 years. Arkansas, 30 years. Like, I don't want to keep dunking on people, but the mere fact is they're going to be in the SEC. So whether they SEC ready or not, they're in it. Now, that said, Texas can recruit, man, and they are recruiting their behinds off, all right? Like, they go from 19-3 on the strength of Arch Manning committing. But, again, you got to follow through on that, because I would be the same person dunking on Texas for not following through on that, because you got to turn a win into more wins. And that's essentially what Texas is going to attempt to do in 2022. As a matter of fact, Steve Sarkisian is beginning to look at the recruiting calendar the way that I've looked at the recruiting calendar for the last 5 years, which is to say, you do a lot of your winning, not in December and January or even November, but June. You do a lot of your winning time getting your quarterback to commit the June before he's supposed to be the guy signing. And even if you can't, you want to go 2 years ahead. You want to be 2 years ahead in your quarterback commits, because who you get to commit to play quarterback says a lot about how you're going to end up in the recruiting rankings. This is why we see such trends, okay? You got the best quarterback in a class, you're probably going to have one of the 5 best classes in all of college football. That's why we put such an emphasis on it. That's why I'm always talking to you about 5 stars matter. Stars matter. How many you get into the boat matters. Whether or not they turn out to be first-round draft picks, that's something else entirely. What you want to do is give yourself a high floor. I'm saying this as a person who earned Eagle Scout at 14 years old because I wanted a high floor. I knew that if I got to Eagle, I give myself the best opportunity to succeed in life. If you get a 5-star quarterback in the boat, you give yourself a great opportunity to win a national championship. Doesn't guarantee it, but it raises the floor. And I'm all about raising the floor, especially as, I'm a goddad and a stepdad. Like, I wear button-downs now. Like, I'm not about the friction anymore. You know what I mean? I am calming down. This is what that looks like. Calming down. Raise the floor. Let's not make this any more harder than it has to be, because it's already hard as hell. You know, think about Alabama, for instance. This is a team that we thought could win the 2021 national championship and felt loaded to win it, okay? So much so that when they got shocked by Texas A&M at Kyle Field, we're like, all right, they can still win it, though, you know? And then they get to the SEC championship. They get a W over Georgia. Georgia being the most dominant team in college football till that time. And then you get Georgia back into the national championship game against Alabama, and what do you get? You get Alabama blowing an 18-14 lead in the fourth quarter. It's really hard to win national championships, even when you have the best team. So why not try to give yourself the best opportunity from the jump to win a national championship and to be SEC ready by going and getting a guy that is one of the sainted first family of football and the best player in his class and a quarterback. I'm telling y'all, man, it could be kind of crucial, kind of live down there on the 40 acres. And I'm saying that as a dude that roots for Oklahoma, all right? It's also, let me just go ahead and wipe that out to place. When I say I'm excited about Ohio State, Texas, or Oregon, or Auburn, or Clemson, or Florida State, or whomever, Tennessee, my goodness, Arkansas, I am. That's what I like doing. I like leaning into the stuff that is fun. I like leaning into the stuff that gives us hope and really makes this sport worth talking about. Okay? OU fans, chill out. We still folk. We still can folk. I'm going to say nice things about quote-unquote the enemy from time to time. Let it go. It's fine, all right? This is my job, and it's what I love to do. Talking ball. Talking college football. Everybody knows where I'm from and where I went to school. Thanks for watching this video, and remember, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other videos on the #1 Ranked Show YouTube channel.